You know what they say, different strokes for different folks? Well, this year at the North American International Auto Show, while people were ogling over those high-performance, high-tech cars that are coming out, I was more interested in this. That's right, it's a minivan. It's the 2017 Chrysler Pacifica. And for those of you that think that the minivan is dead, I'm a firm believer that this is pretty well the most practical vehicle that you could possibly buy, especially if you have a family. As the originator and the king of the minivan for the last few decades, it was imperative that Chrysler get it right when designing a new van. The new Pacifica gets an all-new platform that is not only bigger than the Caravan and Town & Country, but much stronger and lighter. That extra size is needed for all the features that are packed into this van. The outside gets a slick round look that also improves aerodynamics for fuel economy and for noise. If you're familiar with the previous Town & Country or the Grand Caravan from Dodge, you're not going to recognize this interior at all. This is the limited model, and when you look at it, it is very, very premium. It has a very upscale look and feel. Starting from the steering wheel, the dash with the stitching, and then the 8.4-inch Uconnect screen, which is really integrated very well. It's kind of framed with this black piano finish and the vents, and it looks a lot better than some of the Uconnect systems and some of their other products, even though it's the same system and same screen. This one just kind of is a lot more seamless. Below that, you have a rotary dial for your transmission. Everything looks very stylish. Connectivity wise, you have lots of connectivity. You have two USBs, one with auxiliary plug, and down below you have a USB as well as a 12 volt. And you have this nice deep well, which is handy if you might have a bag or a purse. This one is equipped with not only a heated steering wheel, but heated seats and ventilated as well. As for storage wise, like I said, you have that little trough here. You have a little area for maybe your sunglasses, your drink holder. And when you open this little part up here, I think, oh, it's kind of small, but the reason for that is because you can access it through the back, and the back pulls out quite a bit. So you have a very deep well here with a couple more drink holders. In the back of the Pacifica is where it's at really, because you got to think you're going on long road trips with hauling people and kids around. It's got to be comfortable, and this one is equipped with two captain's chairs in the second row, but you can also order it with a third seat in the middle, making this an 8-passenger vehicle. Why I think that's a good thing? Not just for 8 passengers, maybe you have 3 kids and you want to have them all in the second row. That way you can have that third row down most of the time to carry all the things that you need, especially if they're younger kids, so you might have strollers and all that other stuff that comes with little kids. To get into the third row, very easy. There's a latch here, and the seat pushes forward and tilts at the same time, creating this huge opening to get into that third row. Talk about that third row, it is also power folding on this limited model. One option you can get is the Uconnect Theater. So you get screens like this on the seat backs, and not only do they just play DVDs or Blu-rays, they actually play USBs, you can hook a HDMI to it, but they also have pre-programmed materials and games in there, and that really takes the edge off of some long trips. When it comes to versatility in minivans though, I don't think anyone can beat Chrysler for the stow and go system they have, and for the 2017 Pacifica, they've made it even easier. What do? You lift up on the panel, and you have, first of all, a cavernous area on both sides. It's really handy just to use as storage, but especially handy when you want to keep things out of sight from those looky-loos or thieves. So you lift that up. There is one strap that says stow and go, and with one pull, it automatically folds the headrest down, it folds the back, and you just push, and you can just, that's it. A nice totally flat floor. You do that to the other side, fold that third row down, and you have a huge, huge storage area. All right, what are minivans best for? They're best for hauling people around. So packed up the old family here. We went on a road trip, about 400 kilometers. We're on the return right now. We drove down to Seattle and that Pacific Northwest area, and now we're driving back north up to British Columbia. So, what's under the hood of the new Pacifica? 3.6 liter Pentastar V6 puts out 287 horsepower and 262 foot-pounds of torque. That's matched to a 9-speed automatic transmission. Now, 262 foot-pounds of torque really isn't a whole bunch for a vehicle this size, especially when you have it loaded with people. But when you match it to that 9-speed, if you just push down just the slightest bit, but with all those gears, it's going to get you into the right gear to keep you in that sweet spot. And another thing is when you have kids in the back, little ones, and they're sleeping, and you're driving around town, it's actually nice not to have too much torque because there's no jerkiness and you're not going to wake them up. The new Pacifica is all new, of course, from the ground up. So the entire frame, the unibody is different, the chassis, and it's bigger, it's lighter, and it's stronger. And that's much to a better tuned suspension all around. When you get into this vehicle, it doesn't feel like the standard minivan that you've driven if you've driven a minivan in the past, especially not a Chrysler product. It feels very planted. You don't feel like you're riding up super high, and it feels more like you're driving a large wagon, like a car. This thing is loaded with technology. This Limited is equipped with frontal collision warning, radar cruise control. You can just set it and then just forget it, and it will keep the distance between the cars in front of you all the way to even like a stop and go situation. It also has a lane keeping or a lane departure warning and keeping system, and it's active, so it will bring you back into the lane if you are drifting off. Now, we're going to drift off here. You see it just pulls you back in. Now, this is not a semi-autonomous system, for instance, like the new Mercedes system. This one just really just wants to pull you back if you wander and doesn't really try to keep you centered. It's kind of like bowling with the bumpers. You kind of go back and forth, but that's okay because it's really not made for automated driving. Other things that make it really nice, this one is now equipped with not just a backup camera, but a 360 camera as well. Great for parking in tight spots at the mall. And also, talk about parking, this even has automatic parking where it'll park for you. You just handle the brake and the gas. It basically worked 50% of the time. I tried it twice, worked perfect on a parallel park that I did, and then on a perpendicular backup park I tried. It didn't work very good. By the end of the park, I was kind of like sideways in the spot. So yeah, most people probably won't use it anyways. This car is extremely quiet as well. It's equipped with active noise canceling technology, so it senses droning noises. Some airplanes have this as well, and it emits a certain tone to cancel that out. We're driving on the I-5 freeway right now. We're doing 64 miles per hour, and you can hear how quiet it really is. Sometimes you get those concrete sections, not as quiet. Other things that make this such a good family car is sliding doors. You gotta love sliding doors, especially with kids. When you get into a parking lot, there's cars on either side of you. Your kids won't open up and slam the door into someone else. Plus, it's easier to load them in. At this age, it's quite hard to get them into those car seats. And if you can't open your door very far because someone's parked too close to you, sliding doors, that's a solution. Speaking of long trips, very comfortable. These front seats, Napa leather. You have nice armrests. One thing to note though, and I mentioned this when we talked about the interior, the middle console, it does not have a lot of storage on the top. It does continue the storage on in the back, that's where it takes up all the room. After about 400 kilometers on a road trip now, I really wish that this middle section had more storage for the front passengers here opposed to the back ones, because we really haven't used that back one at all. Mind you, if the kids were older, that might be different. So what's it cost to get into a new Pacifica? That's a kicker. It's not an inexpensive proposition. About $43,000 to start and with this limited model, just under $53,000, and there are still a few options to add on there, like that Uconnect theater. So, like I said, it's not cheap. If you think about, first of all, the looks, I think this thing looks pretty good. It doesn't look like a van anymore. It looks more futuristic, almost, it's like a station wagon. Then you get all that technology and the safety aids and all the things that make this a perfect family vehicle, like the sliding doors, the power tailgate, even the grocery hooks. They've thought about everything in this vehicle. You know what? It doesn't matter if this vehicle is $43,000 or $53,000 or $83,000, because at the end of the day, the minivan is here, and it's still here to stay, because there is nothing in the world that will compete with this.